Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I am Bill McMinn. Along with me is Mark Hostetler, both pastors from Eagleville Bible Church, talking a little bit about love, just having Valentine's Day a few days back. It says in 1 Corinthians 13 is the love chapter in the Bible. That's how it's known. And 4 through 7 gets right to it. Mm-hmm. It says that love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy, it does not boast. It is not arrogant, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not irritable, it does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. I love it. I think it's a phenomenal definition of what love really is. Because again, sometimes I do believe love cannot be devoid of feeling. Like, I think we should care about each other. Like, I think there should be something in our heart that's bothered. If we know somebody that we love is going through hard times, I think that should touch our hearts. That's something we should be concerned about, right? Because we really love them. We have that feeling, in our heart. I don't think it should be devoid of like, I'm going to do what's best for you, but I really don't care. Not one bit. I don't think that's how it should be.
No way.
I love this definition. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's probably one of the most recognizable parts of all of Scripture. You hear it in weddings, you hear it, in these ceremonies, renewing the vows and that kind of stuff. And especially on the heels of going through Valentine's Day, I think it's appropriate to talk about, okay, so we just spent this season thinking about love. Now, how do we live it out? Right. Now, how do we apply it? And right here, God gives us a definition of how to apply this to our lives, Right. Be patient, be kind, Right. These things are challenging, too.
I think it's a good start. It starts right out the gate, be patient, because what are we a lot of times? We're not patient.
Oh, my
goodness. We want to get things done right now, and if it's not done right when we think it should be, sometimes we could lose our cool, and we could get impatient with people. We could say things that we shouldn't say. I think the patience of even communication takes patience.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes they didn't really, either A, they didn't hear you at all, B, they didn't hear you right, C, they don't really understand what you're talking about. We're trying to talk to people sometimes around corners. We're trying to talk to them as we're walking away. Then we wonder why they didn't, I got to say it again. Well, yeah, but you weren't communicating clearly to start with. That could cause or lead to impatience. If somebody's not right there when you want them to be, they didn't show up right when you wanted them to show up. Yeah. They forgot to get at the store what you asked them to get, all these things. I think that patience has to come in and be a part of that.
I don't think, when we think of patience, we think of some, maybe like waiting for a long time for something, right. I don't think that's necessarily what it's talking about. It's just talking about having a heart that believes the best about that person and just being patient with them, knowing that we're all works in progress. You know what I mean? We're all works in, in verse 5, it says not to be irritable.
Right.
So you were just talking about, when somebody's talking and you get snappy, you get quick with them, you get, the opposite is that, to be patient.
Right. Well, patience means long fuse. Basically bottom line. It's you can, and I think also you were saying patience as far as waiting for someone to grow in their life, waiting for them to mature, waiting for them to get it. I know in some of my other relationships, not including my wife, there are times where, you got to be patient and just give God a chance to work on that person's life, get them to figure things out. Because I know for me, when I was, let's say in my 20s to 30s to where I'm at now, I didn't always have the same views. I've definitely migrated in some of my thinking, not biblically, but, on how I dress coming to church on Sunday morning, so on and so forth, what's important to me. Yeah. These things have changed for sure over time, but it takes patience to allow people to get to that point. But when I'm thinking about my everyday relationship with my wife and kids, don't get impatient if they're not out helping you right away, or if they forgot to do something, or they... didn't text back right away. Maybe your friends don't text you back right away, or just don't, be patient, right?
Yeah. And I love that he starts this with fruits of the Spirit, that when the Holy Spirit lives in us, we've come into a relationship with Christ. Right. It says that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, right. And that's one of the fruits that you have God living in. You're trusting in the Holy Spirit throughout your day, is that you're going to be patient, not only with your wife, but because I love you, Bill, I'm going to be patient with some of the things that might irritate me. I can't think of any right now, but when it comes same with me. I hope this is a vice versa thing. This isn't just talking about my wife and children and my family. This is talking about people in general when they're out in the grocery store. Be patient with people.
And when you're impatient, be kind, because love is kind.
Yes.
It does not envy. I mean, when you really love someone, you're not jealous that they did well. You're patting them on the back. You're thrilled that they did.
Right.
You're not sitting around like, how come they got the credit, or how come you're just happy they did.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You're happy they're successful. You're happy it went well for them, because that's what you want to see for them. You don't boast. You don't sit around and talk about how great you are, because when you love someone, it's not about you. It's not about you telling them about you. You know, me loving you doesn't include me telling you about me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, me loving you is me talking about you, and me finding out about you, and me caring about you.
Interested about, right.
Not be boasting and bragging.
I think this second point too is really important. I mean, this kindness. So one of the things that really challenged me is, my wife brought it up one day. She says, "Hey, so I noticed that sometimes you'll go out of your way to help somebody when you're at work or when you're around other people, but you won't do the same for me."
Right.
And I'm like, man, she's right. And she nailed it. You know, sometimes we have to be careful. The closest people to us can miss this one.
Right.
Kindness. Are you kind to each other? You know what I mean? I think
and
opening doors for each other, or carrying things for them. Hey, you know what? Let me get that, dishwasher. Let me, be kind. Go out of your way to be kind.
And it's not rude. And it goes right along with being kind in verse 5. It's not rude. And sometimes, my wife will say, like, I was helping her paint, and I was happy to do it, thrilled to do it. For some reason, she thought I wasn't happy to do it. I don't know why. And I asked a question early on about, like, this one room is kind of like a middle room between two other rooms. And I was like, it's been full of boxes every time I go up there. They say it wasn't recently. I didn't see it at that point. I always see it where I'm like, okay, when we get all this project done, when we put all this back together, will this then go back to a normal room? It's just a question. I mean, I haven't hardly seen the floor in that room since Michaela was there. I used to bark about it then. And then, my daughter lived there, and she had all her stuff stored there. Then Luke moved in. He had all his stuff stored there. So I'm just curious about it, because I know a lot of changes. So apparently that didn't go across well. And so, maybe I said it the wrong way, but then she's got this thinking all day long that I don't want to be there and I don't want to help her. And I'm thinking, this is great, man. We're getting stuff done. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy. But I guess that just comes across where, okay, well, I must have said something, maybe you consider it rude. I don't know if that be the word, or maybe questioning or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it says it's not irritable. It's hard not to be irritable when you're tired.
Oh, man.
Because when you're tired, you get irritable.
Yeah.
And that's usually when I really want to shut up. Like, even in a meeting the other day, we were all in, and just something came across to me the wrong way, and I just settled myself down. I'm like, I just came back very calm, very calmly addressed it or explained it, and didn't get, like, the initial response sometimes is, I'm going to bite your head off right now and see how this feels. But then you're like, no, don't, just calm down, because you already know you're tired and you're a little grumpy because you've been up late and you've been up early, and so you're catching at both ends of the day.
Well, what you've done, Bill,
and so you have to be at this time, because you got to realize love. No, you can't get irritable. You got to let these things just be calm, be kind, be nice, right? Be calm.
I appreciate that, because you are demonstrating right now through that story what love practically looks like.
Right.
That was a loving thing you did.
Right.
You withheld, and you went along with your sermon series, about speaking. You didn't just be quick to speak, no, you just were calm.
Right.
All right. I'm going to watch my tongue here. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely has challenged me. I think, that whole sermon series has anyway, but reading Proverbs has. And don't even, today I was thinking in another conversation, don't repeat the matter. Repeating the matter separates close friends. Something upset me. I'm like, why talk about it? Why say anything about it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eat it. Move on. Do you know what I'm saying? So I've been like really, the sermon series has helped me a lot. But again, not being irritable, and also not keeping a record of wrongs. Oh, man. Not keeping that record of, well, you did this, you did this, you did this. Like when we were little kids, any of the brothers did something. Well, that chalks up another one. That chalks up another one. And we had this whole litany of stuff that we could repeat to the other. Well, I'm going to, if you tell on me, then I'm telling on you. And when I tell on you, I have a list like this. And then they could recite all the things they had against you. And constantly we're like, that chalks up another one.
Yeah.
That chalks up another one. Yeah. And that's how some people are. It's like, that chalks up another offense, and I'm gonna not forget about it.
Yep, absolutely. It's like putting a shackle around somebody and holding them to what they were doing way back there. You ever get into these arguments, it could be with a spouse. you're talking about one thing. Let's say, I'll bring up the dishwasher. Let's say, hey, you loaded a dishwasher wrong or something like that. And in a minute of time, you're talking about something that happened 5 years ago.
Right.
And it's just bringing up old things and bringing up, well, you do this and you do that and you do this and you do that. And it's like, it's exasperating. Right. Don't do it.
It's not good for love.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
I know that. I mean, because
but you could be out with your spouse and be out for the nicest time, and then bring something up from the past, I remember when you used to, I was the only person in the room you'd pay attention to, or the only person, and you're like, why are we talking about this right now?
Where we go here?
Exactly. It's like, why are we going this direction? No. Like, we're out here for a nice time, and all of a sudden we're throwing something up, and it's offensive, and then you're, of course, going back to being patient or whatever, but you can really shut down a conversation. I mean, you say something negative, you say something you're just throwing out there, throwing something up in the past. It really is a nice time. People are just trying to say nice things, all of a sudden you throw this ugly comment and you turn that conversation in that direction. It's not good.
It isn't.
Right.
Yeah, and it's hard to overcome that, honestly. It really is. Even though you try to be patient and kind and loving, it is really hard to overcome that and to get back to, hey, you know what? Let's just talk about something else that's lighthearted, and just get back to being friends again, and be okay.
Well, here's one thing why we're on the subject. I think in marriage too, let your spouse finish their statement. Because the other day I was saying something going a real positive direction, and wanted to say something really positive, and all of a sudden, man, something got thrown at me. Like, okay. And I'm like, so I shut up for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, but isn't true love when they finish?
I didn't say one word.
When they finish your sentences? Isn't that true love?
It wasn't even that. It was just like, I'm like, why'd you say that? Like, I'm sitting here trying to say something positive and really nice, and you're bringing up just this negative sore spot. And I always believe this: do not ever tease people about things that might be true. Don't tease your spouse about something that you know is a sore spot, that you've complained over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden you're out to dinner, and maybe you're always saying, well, how come you didn't get this done? Or how come you didn't paint that room for me? Or how come you didn't? And all of a sudden you're out for a nice dinner and you're throwing up that they didn't paint the room yet. Maybe not the time for that.
Yeah. It's like a sarcastic zinger,
it's just kind of like, but I was just joking. Yeah, but you're joking on a sore spot. You're joking on something that you're on me about all the time. And it's just, it takes it a whole different direction. Well, I think that's where, why are we remembering that right now?
Isn't that unloving? Because we're talking about being rude now. We're talking about being self-seeking. We're talking about being irritated.
Right.
Those are unloving things, I
think you have to also consider where your spouse is at the time. If your spouse is really tired and really down and really maybe discouraged about other things, not the time to be piling on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not.
True.
And again, when you're loving, we talked so much about words, and it's helped me. Sometimes it's just best, just think about it 1/2 second before it comes out of your mouth, how that's going to affect that person. If you would just filter it yourself, just filter it, or just let the person make a positive statement on their own where they're coming to a realization that, hey, they want to make a change. That's where I was at one point. I was just trying to make an acknowledgement of an area I want to change. And then I'm getting picked on the same area that I'm about to talk about. Yeah. Now I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I never did. I never did finish the statement. I never did talk about it because I just felt like, okay. You know what I'm saying?
And again, we have to come back to foundational things. So I got to believe the best about her. You know what I'm saying? I got to believe the best about you. I got to believe the best first.
Right.
We come at them with, they're guilty until proven innocent,
right.
And it's like, that's a wrong way to put it. I mean,
that too. Care, just caution, be careful in the words that come. Words have meaning.
Oh, absolutely.
They have meaning.
Yeah.
You can't just say things to people, whatever the heck you feel like saying, and then be mad when you get a negative response for it. Because I'm going to be one, why are you saying it? Why are you bringing it up?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Why are you saying something hurtful? Like, I don't get it. To me personally, I think that, you look at this, you got to be kind. You got to be, you're not be rude, not be self-seeking and want to throw one little dig in that's on your favor. This says, love finds no joy in unrighteousness, rejoices in the truth. And that's where you're talking about the trust part of it.
That's it.
Where you're going to believe the best about somebody.
Exactly. Now this isn't tolerance for wrong behavior. That's not what rejoicing in truth, unrighteousness needs to be stopped in your relationships.
Right.
That could be speaking ill of each other and that kind of stuff. Stop all unrighteousness.
Right.
Rejoice in what you know to be true about that other person.
Right.
It's going to help all relationships all the time.
Right.
We can be quick to judge other people and to judge their motives. Don't do that.
Right.
Talk to them in a calm way. Hey, so, there's this communication exercise so what I hear you saying is, you know what I mean? And you're trying to find what it is that they're really trying to say. You're not assuming that they hate you. It's just a dangerous thing.
And even when they love you, it's not even the point. It's just the point of you're agitating someone. You just because you love someone doesn't mean you're not going to get agitated if they say something cross to you. I mean, my wife knows I love her. It doesn't mean she's not going to get agitated if I have a rude tone or if I'm talking down to her. It doesn't matter. You can expect the best of me. I should expect the best of me. I need to watch what I say because I used to teach my kids all the time, you're the pace setter for this day. And when we were all getting together for Saturday morning breakfast, I said, every one of you has a chance to set the pace today. And if you come here to breakfast and you're angry and you're being grumpy and you're saying things, guess what? You're going to upset the apple cart, and the apple cart's going to be upset for the rest of that day.
That's a great point.
So you don't want to start the days. And sometimes I've been guilty of upsetting the apple cart and just that cross tone or what have you. It also says in verse 7, for love, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now, believes all things, I would say believing the best. That's a hard thing to do. I think when you love someone, just believing in that love, believing it's going to be there, believing people aren't going to let you down. I think that's a hard thing.
I'm telling you, Bill, these 3 verses are super challenging.
Right.
We look at it and we think, man, these are beautiful. They got this sort of poetic feel to it.
Right.
But you try to apply this on a daily basis once. I'm telling you what, this is challenging.
Right.
And actually, Jesus Christ is the one that exemplified it for all of us.
Right.
And so talk to him about it. You know what I mean?
In any relationship too, dude, you're going to have to bear all things. You will have to put up with something because no one's perfect.
That's right.
And that's true of friendships, true of staffs, is true of any friendship, is true of there's going to be something where they let you down, somebody else lets you down. Yep. You got to just deal with it. And I've been there 100 times. I know. Just swallow it. Just swallow it. Just swallow it. Yeah, it bothered you, but just swallow it. And the more tired you are, the more things bother you too. And I think you got to realize that. Like if you're in a low cycle, you got to realize everything's going to be bothering you. So don't put a lot of stock into your thoughts when you're in a low anyway. But because, some of it's winter, some of it's darkness, some of it's just tiredness, some of it's, we can't do as much outside. I still get outside, but you know what I'm saying? You're not outside nearly as much right now as you are in the summer. Well, you don't have the light to be outside. Right. You don't have, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's just, when you're tired, don't let things get to you.
It was one of the best pieces of advice you've ever given me. When I first started on staff here and we were talking and you told me, you said, hey, be careful when you get tired.
Right.
That's when things go south.
Right.
Arguments are quick, temptations seem to lurk even more readily, than normal. Yep. And you don't have the wherewithal to resist.
Right.
Because you're depending at that point, you're not thinking properly, you're not depending on the Spirit as much, honestly, because you're not thinking about it. You're just not. When you're constantly just depending on the Holy Spirit to help you clothe yourselves with these things, you're in a good rational thinking mode, all of that. When you're tired, you're not.
Right.
You just need some rest.
Right.
Some of the best spiritual practices you can do are take a nap.
Right. Absolutely.
Get a full night's rest. You
just need to go to bed earlier, get more sleep.
Did you eat dinner yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Go eat some dinner,
You're
because
hangry.
It's not. Sometimes we over spiritualize it when really we just need some food.
Right.
We need a good drink. Like you say, you need to go out and run. Exercise.
I did
good
last
for
night.
your body.
I felt like a slug, but I still got to get out and exercise. I have to do it. But the hoping, just being hopeful, enduring all things.
Oh, man,
in any friendship, you got to be hopeful. You got to be hopeful things will come around. You got to keep praying for people. Be confident. And you just keep loving. As you're going to love your friends and love other people, you're going to bear with them. You're going to believe in them. You're going to hope for them. You're going to endure all things, and you hit a little snag or whatever, you're going to endure it. It's going to be okay.
That's challenging, Bill, because be careful in your relationship when you've lost hope.
Right.
Be careful. Seek counseling. You know what I mean?
In your marriage.
In your relationship,
Right.
in your marriage. Because life isn't hopeless.
Right.
There's always hope, you know? And man, we've had couples, you know, that just come to you and they just go, man, I'm hopeless. And in a short amount of time with some very simple steps, you can reboost hope into your marriage and relationship. Right. It's worth it. Right. You know, don't ever stop dreaming together. Don't ever stop hoping together for things. Don't ever stop believing the best about God and your relationship. Because, man, if you rely on God, you have 100% success in marriage.
Well, let's face it. I mean, for a lot of us too, you know, we do have it pretty good. Like I have it really good in my marriage. I mean, I have it really good with my wife. You know, our kids are healthy. You talk to some people where they have children that are unhealthy. They suffer depression. They have all kinds of other issues that surround them all the time. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, I mean, sleeping difficulties, the whole 9 yards. And you wonder sometimes, I look at people and everything they go through, everything they deal with, and they're here. They're enduring all things. They're hoping all things. They're bearing all things. They're still together through thick and thin. And that's really when it comes to the crux. You know, for some people, I mean, their load that they carry every day is far greater than mine. Yeah. And so when you think about what other people go through, sometimes you look at, I can get over my silliness.
It's inspirational.
I can get over my silliness. I can do better. We appreciate you tuning in. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7, you can read the whole chapter 2. Is a phenomenal chapter in the Bible. I highly encourage you to look it over, think it over, pray it through. You guys all have a great and a blessed week.